Well, folks, it is finally here. After 9 races in the playoffs, after an entire season of excitement, crashes, wins, controversy, and everything and so forth, we have finally made it. We finally made it to Homestead. We finally made it to championship weekend. 4 of the drivers are in. We have a lot of great excitement coming into this weekend, not only in the Truck Series, but the Xfinity Series, but also the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday. 4 are going to be going in to compete for this championship, but 1 is going to go away a champion. Tune in tonight as we are going to recap Phoenix and we are going to preview Homestead. He's Chris, I'm Corey, and this is the C&J Speedway review. Welcome back, folks, to the C&J Speedway review. My name is Corey Huffnagel, and tonight we are going to be recapping Elimination Weekend at ISM Raceway / Phoenix, and we are now going to be previewing Homestead for Championship Weekend. As far as you know, guys, I'm really excited for this weekend. I would have to say Sunday is going to be. I'd have to say Sunday is going to be the most exciting race compared to all the races this weekend. I think Friday will probably be exciting, Saturday too, but I think Sunday is going to be the most watched race this weekend, and a lot of storylines are going into this race. But yet again, I really can't wait to see how this will all unfold. So let's go to the hotline right now. Always a pleasure to talk to. His name is Chris, and he's got a throwback of Kevin Harvick driving the Busch paint scheme, and I really like all the throwback stuff. And Chris, you must be excited about your driver making it in on Sunday.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Thank you again, Corey. Great to be here. As always on the C&J Speedway review, I'll get that a little closer so you can see my gimmick here, the old school Busch Jones. And Sunday, when we do flag-to-flag coverage of the Ford EcoBoost 400, you will see my throwback T-shirt, all a part of a friendly bet between myself and a friend of mine. Whoever's driver made it further gets the happy gimmicks. His driver, Austin Dillon, went out in the first round, and he ordered this stuff up for me. This was from actually Darlington Throwback Weekend.
Yep.
So he really thought ahead. We've been friends since 1988 and watching racing on and on and on. So to see him go to these lengths to fulfill his end of the bargain, I got to tip my hat to him. So, Lee, if you're out there, thank you very much. You did a great job. Also, as part of it, I got this throwback koozie, as you can see, old school Jones right here, and the T-shirt. I'm waiting until Sunday. But let's be honest, what you said at the top of the show, what a great weekend of racing. And in what other sport do you know of that crowns 3 champions in 3 days over one weekend? The answer is none. This is why NASCAR is an exciting sport. This is why you guys should be excited. And believe me, when I didn't see the truck race myself. We'll talk about that in a minute. I did see after the fact. I already knew because Corey likes to text people and put things up on Facebook, and I'm dumb enough to look at them to see the finish of the Xfinity Series, but I watched it after the fact. And, of course, flag to flag, I watched the Cup race. Exciting all the way around. Different news coming out of different series, and this is where Corey comes in and does his job with the latest news, updates, and so forth from the world of NASCAR's top 3 series.
Okay, so I'm going to start this one off. So, as far as you guys know, we lost the legend on Tuesday, and it was also announced that David Pearson passed away at the age of 83, and he's won, I believe, 4 championships. He won a Daytona 500, 106 career wins on the all-time win list, second to Richard Petty, and was sad in the NASCAR world. And, David Pearson had a really great career, and not only that, he was also nicknamed known as the Silver Fox.
What you may not know is that earlier on in his career, he was simply the Fox. And then as his career went on, he, much like me at a young age, started seeing gray hairs, and they renamed him the Silver Fox. But I had him listed as a 3-time champion. I might have been reading wrong. I think you're right. I think he was a 4-time champ, but David Pearson, certainly a legend of the business, NASCAR Hall of Famer, uh, up in the top 10, I believe, in wins overall in the series. He's one of those names that if you can pass him on any list, you've done something. You know now that you have the potential to be a Hall of Famer going forward. I remember Jimmy Johnson in one of his 7 championship runs mentioning, I just passed David Pearson. I just passed Jeff Gordon. So I believe you might be right. He's a 4-time champ. He knew
3-time.
he knew my name is cemented in the record books. Pearson, Waltrip, Gordon, Earnhardt, Petty. Those are names that, other than Jimmy Johnson, no one's been able to touch for years. Jeff Gordon is a 4-time champion. He passed David Pearson. But again, legend. People had so much respect for David Pearson. This is reminding me a lot of when Benny Parsons passed away. A year
Yeah.
before Benny passed away, I had the pleasure of meeting him in Loudon, New Hampshire, at the Nassau Resort Seaside Restaurant and Bar, right there in Weirs Beach, where I always stay for the races. And Benny was a nice guy, but the more you talk to him, Benny Parsons always said the name David Pearson on broadcasts. The day that I met him, I'm standing there with Buddy Parsons and Rusty Wallace, and I would expect them to talk about their fantastic careers. David Pearson came up, and the respect that the guys all over, when you read the USA Today article online after his passing, the number of legends and current greats that came out and said, without David Pearson, we wouldn't be where we're at.
Right.
I tip my hat. I look back on David Pearson's career over the last few days since we got the news, and there'll never be another one like him. Somebody will come close, but he was one of the trailblazers that took NASCAR from the dirty, grimy, back road, moonshiner, I'll say stroker sport, to the multi-million-dollar entity that we see today every week on different television stations and radio stations across the world.
I couldn't agree on that more. So in other news, it was also announced this past week. Ross Chastain has a full-time ride in the Xfinity Series next year. He's going to be driving the 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing with DC Solar. And to me, like, when I first heard this story, like, I wasn't really surprised, but I knew this was pretty much expected because what he did those 3 races this year, it pretty much set an example of, okay, this kid has the potential of winning races at a championship. Let's get him for next year and see what he can do. And to be honest, like, I'm really excited that he's having this opportunity. And then yet again, I would have to say, like, starting like next year and then years down the road, we're going to be seeing top number teams look at these guys, that are running for like low underfunded teams, that are going to jump into these top rides, and then next thing you know, you never know, they're going to start winning races. And just like what happened to, I would say, Ryan Preece when he first started at Joe Gibbs Racing last year, boom, he ended up winning races. Now he's running a part-time gig for Joe Gibbs for now, and then next year he's moving up to the Cup level. Then you have Ross Chastain, which of course, ran 3 races for Chip Ganassi, 1 at Las Vegas, and now he's running full-time next year. So I think if you look at it, I'm looking at, the Xfinity Series preview for 2019. I think this is going to be a kid to watch next season.
Absolutely. And if I may say so, because a lot of people accuse me they actually listen to me in regular life. Not a Kevin Harvick homer. Hey, Kevin, you were wrong. Chastain found himself a fast ride going forward. I couldn't be more excited to see Ross Chastain get this 42 ride. I dare say right now, and I'll stamp it right. I'll hit the table as much as Eddie hates it when I do that. Ross Chastain's in the top 8 next year in the playoff series, in the Xfinity Series.
I couldn't agree more on that. And also in other news, Austin Cindric is going to be running full-time in the Xfinity Series next year with the partnership of Money Lion. And I can just tell you this, with Cindric, of course this year, hasn't been really like the best for him. But, for him, like this year, it's been kind of consistent. But then on the other hand, next year now that he's driving for Team Penske, I think this is going to be a driver that you might want to see on your radar in 2019.
Absolutely. And when you consider that up through and including this past Sunday at ISM Raceway in Phoenix, Austin Cindric was a very serious championship contender. So not having a full-time ride, just going out there and collecting points for different car owners and whatnot, he was in the championship hunt. Didn't collect any wins, but that could all change next season. This is a good thing for him. He was championship 8 this year. I'm going to stamp that right next to Ross Chastain. Austin Cindric, next year, top 8 in the Xfinity Series.
Okay. And one other little piece of Xfinity notes, I forgot to chime this one in. So this one was announced a few days ago, and this one has to be involved with Jeffrey Earnhardt. So the reason why I mentioned his name is next year, Jeffrey Earnhardt is going to be running a 9-race schedule for Joe Gibbs Racing with sponsorship of Extreme Concepts beginning in 2019. So Jeffrey is going to be making his Joe Gibbs debut at Daytona next year in February, along with other 9 races in between. So I kind of think to myself, okay, so here's another kid that's also running for a low-funded team, and he's going to be trying out 9 races for a big team like Joe Gibbs Racing. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, all right, I know Jeffrey is good when it comes to restrictor plate racing, but if you look at it, no matter if he's driving either the 18 car or the 20 car or whatever car he's in, well, actually the 18 car, you might want to keep an eye out on this kid because something tells me next year, he could end up pulling up like Ryan Preece, end up getting his first win in, let's say, like maybe his 3rd start, 4th start. I don't know, but this is going to be one kid I'm going to end up watching next year, and I'm going to be surprised if he ends up running strong right off the bat.
Here's one thing I see about Jeffrey Earnhardt, and I have to go back now almost 20 years. And I know, Corey, you were, if I remember my timeline correctly, this is 98. Your birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday to the co-host with the utmost, Corey Huffnagel, Mr. Jumbotron Jones over here. We'll tell that story in a minute. I think back to Adam Petty. And Adam Petty, grandson of a legend, had all the talent in the world. And I think sometimes that skips a generation. I am not, before anybody starts sending hate tweets to @cburns19 on Twitter, before anybody starts sending hate mail to C&J Speedway Review, I'm not going to say that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a bad racer. I'm not going to say that Dale Earnhardt Jr. isn't Hall of Fame qualified because, guys, he is. But sometimes it skips a generation. Adam Petty had it. Unfortunately, Adam Petty lost his life at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I want to say it was like 1998, same year as Kenny Irwin. But regardless, Jeffrey Earnhardt has those talents. He is the grandson of the legendary Dale Earnhardt Sr., 7-time champion. He of 70-plus wins, or 80-something, 84? I don't know. You're the stat guy. How many wins did Senior have?
76.
How many?
76.
76. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's watched, he's learned, he's watched Kerry, his uncle, he's watched Dale, his uncle, he's watched Dale Sr., his grandfather. He's picked this up as he's gone along. And there's no better teacher than watching, learning, and applying. We've seen Jeffrey Earnhardt week after week on the Cup Series, and he seems to be field filler. Although he tries, he never gives up. He's not a starting part. He's one of those guys that goes out there and he's going to go until that car blows up or until the race is finished. An Xfinity ride next year only gives him a better position to improve his craft and go forward and be a staple on these series, whether it's the trucks, the Xfinity, or the Cup going forward in the years to come. Give him 5 years, and he'll be, in my opinion, and if I'm wrong, I'll say it right here. In 5 years, Jeffrey Earnhardt's going to be someone to watch.
I do agree. And one other last note to go with is Harrison Burton is going to be competing in the Truck Series. Well, actually, next year, the title and sponsor will be the Gander Outdoors Truck Series next year for Kyle Busch Motorsports. So he is going to be replacing Noah Gragson in the 18 car with sponsorship Safe Flight Auto Glass. And I can just tell you this. I wasn't really surprised that, they picked Burton to drive the 18 truck, especially being the son of Jeff Burton. But I think, with him working with a great crew chief like Rudy Fugle, who's helped Christopher Bell and Noah Gragson win races, well, helping Bell win a championship. This is going to be one team I think that's going to be fun to watch next season. And let's face it, Kyle Busch Motorsports has been dominant every year. They know how to win races. They know how to go to the championship four. They know how to perform when it comes to playoff time. And I think with Burton, I mean, he hasn't really done too bad. I mean, if you just look at it, he's had only one pole, 76 laps led, 3 top fives, and 7 top 10 finishes across 14 starts. So I think if you look at it, and also given the fact that he has a K&N Series championship as well, I wouldn't be surprised if this kid can get his first win sometime next year.
Absolutely. You are 1,000% correct, my friend. 1,000%. But now we go on. We already talked about this is championship weekend, but to get here, we had to go through Phoenix and decide who was going forward. So we start with the truck race. And boy, if Brett Moffitt had something to prove, he showed it this weekend at the truck race, coming home with the victory. You watched the race. I only heard about it because, again, you're always on Facebook with the updates, and I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
But because I work late on Friday nights, I get the update, and I'm like, well, I don't have to watch. Brett Moffitt won. So tell me what you saw during that race. What impressed you about Brett Moffitt's win?
I think what really impressed me the most was, this was a team, and I'm going to go back like the start of the season. This was a team that, that wasn't either going to run full-time this season without a full-time sponsorship, but they managed to, not give up. They ran races, whether if it was either unsponsored or have like a 2-race sponsor or whatever it is and so forth. But let's be honest, I didn't really expect Moffitt to win a race. I didn't expect him to win more than one. But then when you go to Atlanta, gets his first win, everybody's like, okay, so gets his first win, boom, now I want to see more. Then you go to Iowa, okay, 2 wins, so this is going to be, somebody to watch. Then, of course, you got Chicago, 3 wins, and then you back it up with, Dover, well, not Dover, Michigan, and then, of course, ISM. Everyone's all like, you know what? I think this is going to be a kid where, that could challenge Johnny Sauter for the championship. But I just look at Moffitt this year, and let's be honest, we don't know where he's going next year. So that one he's going to have to decide, whether if Hattori Enterprises is going to shut down its doors either this year or next year, or whether if they're going to keep going. But I just look at Moffitt, and I actually do want to see. I mean, I was kind of thinking of this a couple of weeks back. Like, I do have Sauter as my champion, but now I'm kind of shifting towards, I really want to see what Brett Moffitt can do because, they pulled off a few good surprises some races during the season, and I just look at that team, and, this could be the only team that I think could threat the 21 for the title.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I look at, and we'll get into the points in a little bit, when I look at the top 4 that we're going to talk about soon, everybody has a win. I think, other than the Cup Series, it's the only series where everybody in the Championship 4 has a win.
Yeah.
I'm looking now. I am correct because in the Xfinity Series, 3 of the 4 have a win. 1 doesn't. He pointed his way in, but he earned it. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Many weeks ago, when Moffitt took home his 3rd victory, you and I were both clamoring, give this kid a ride. Yeah. Somebody next year has to step up and give Brett Moffitt a full-time gig so he can, if he doesn't win a championship this year, how many teams has he run for this year? Let's be honest. 3 by my count.
Yeah.
So if you win an overall points championship running for 3 teams, can you imagine what he can do with your team if you give him great equipment each and every week? Hashtag give Brett a ride. That's my statement.
All right.
So since there's not much else to talk about in this race, let's go straight into the goods. Brett Moffitt comes home in first. Noah Gragson second. Harris comes in third. Grant Enfinger fourth. Stuart Friesen fifth. Tell me if I'm saying this name right. Ankrum?
Yes.
What's his first name?
Tyler.
Tyler Ankrum. I don't have that. I have T. Ankrum. So please apologize for my ignorance. Tyler Ankrum was 6th, Johnny Sauter 7th, and Corey's Derek Kraus, who he was looking forward to seeing race, finished 8th.
Yep.
Here we go again. Christian Eckes. Am I doing that right?
Christian Eckes.
Right. Finished 9th. And Apollo Creed. I know it's not his first name, but I will always refer to him as Apollo Creed from here on out. Finished 10th. Other notables: Matt Crafton 11th, Ben Rhodes 12th, Ryan Herbst 15th, Austin Self 19th, DJ Kennington 21st, Myatt Snyder 22nd. Going down the list: Justin Haley 28th, John Hunter Nemechek 29th, and Joe Nemechek rounds out your field dead last in 32nd. Corey, give me a happy and give me a sad on this weekend's truck race.
So my happy for this one, I'm gonna have to go with Harrison Burton. Started third, finished third, and I'm really happy he finished in the top 5 in that 51 truck. And this is pretty much gonna be a preview of next season, what this kid can do. My sad, I'm definitely gonna have to go with Justin Haley. Oil leak took him out of contention, and such a shame. I really thought this was gonna be a kid that was gonna get another win and compete and run up front and so forth.
I had the same happy and the same sad for the same reasons. Justin Haley, it would have been nice as my sad to see him at least be in the top 10. He does end up in the championship 4, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But again, what a bad day for him. That oil leak really took him out. A DNF, which I don't think he had many of those this season. Harrison Burton, also my happy. This is a kid fighting for a ride, and he got himself a full-time ride going forward. So, again, I talk about state races all the time. I'm sure that the papers were drawn, everything was going forward, but he really needed a fantastic finish to cement the fact that that team made the right decision in signing Harrison Burton, and he certainly did so. Like you said, started third, finished third. Fantastic weekend all around for young Harrison Burton. And now we go to the points and then the picks. The points are reset. Everybody's at 4,000 points. The highest finisher this Friday night, tomorrow, kids, and if you're listening to this on audio only, tonight, kids, will determine who your champion is. And those 4 are Brett Moffitt in a Toyota with 5 wins, Justin Haley second in a Chevrolet with 3 wins, Johnny Sauter third in a Chevrolet with 6 wins, and Noah Gragson rounds out your top 4 with 1 win, all at 4,000 points. Congratulations to all 4 drivers, and may the best driver win. Now, on the spot, Jones, is your champion still Johnny Sauter?
I mean, I do want to say yes, but I think with Brett Moffitt making that late run, winning the race this past Friday at Phoenix, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say like it's not going to be Johnny Sauter's championship to lose, because I think if you look at it, I think the only guys that can make a run at it are going to be Brett Moffitt and Justin Haley.
I don't disagree. I think Noah Gragson has a great chance to tip that apple cart over and make this his championship. But I said it a few weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again. I really do think this is Brett Moffitt's championship to lose. So I'm going to put my little star on the left-hand side, and I'll bring these with me Sunday. Guys, don't forget, Sunday, flag-to-flag coverage of the EcoBoost 400 on the Cup Series. Corey and I in the same room for the first time ever doing this podcast. And I put my little star on the right side for Corey, who says Johnny Sauter will still be your champion. This paper will come to the Azarju Mini Mansion on Sunday. By the way, big shout out to Mark Azarju and his lovely wife Anya for opening their home to the C&J Speedway review. We're going to have such a great time. By the way, Corey, the food theme is sandwiches, and Mark is going out and getting a big 35-foot-long gimmick sandwich. Bring some munchies. That's your penance. We all bring food. It's all great. You're gonna love it. You're gonna come down every weekend. I can see this going forward now. But now we go to the picks, and because I pick only the championship drivers during the championship run, starting with race 1 all the way to race 10, I kind of screwed Corey over this week. I took Noah Gragson as my lock. He finished second. I took Brett Moffitt as my sleeper. He finished first. That's a 3. That's a 1.5 finish. Corey took Todd Gilliland as his lock. He finished 17th. He took Derek Kraus as his sleeper. He finished 8th. That's a finish of 25. Your total for the week is 12.5. Now, listen, next season, I will make this promise to you right now. I will not pick only playoff drivers until Homestead-Miami Speedway. You have my word on it. Mark it down. November 15th, I said that.
Okay.
I can't pencil whip you too much more. This is kind of shooting fish in a barrel, really. But we move on. We said somebody needed to win to get in, and he had the worst run of luck in the playoffs in the Xfinity Series. And what did he do? He came up big. Christopher Bell walks away with the wheel entrusted to perform 200 at the ISM Phoenix Speedway. What a great win for him. Led 94 laps. The only person that came close to him was Justin Allgaier, who led 69. And even then, late race, bad luck for Justin Allgaier, really took him out of contention for the race and screwed him out of a championship 4 spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, of course, everyone was all picking Christopher Bell to win the race, because let's face it, if he hadn't won, he would have been eliminated, and I think the only 2 guys that would have been a threat to win the championship would have to be Cole Custer, Daniel Hemrick, and possibly Justin Allgaier, had he not had that accident with John Hunter Nemechek and everything and so forth. But if you look at Bell's day on Saturday, it wasn't easy for him. I mean, he had to start in the back because he failed qualifying inspection 3 times. And, starting in the back wasn't easy, but, for that 20 car easy, I'd have to say he probably made it up to the front, I think, within like 15 laps and so forth. But I think with Bell winning the race on Saturday, pretty much put a championship statement saying, all right, so I may have been down in this round, but I won the race. I'm not out. So now we got to go to Homestead and may the best driver win.
Absolutely, and I think the only person who didn't pick Bell to win this weekend was me. I actually thought Justin Allgaier would have it. He finished second at Phoenix in March, and I really thought he was my lock this week. So we already know where that's going when we go to the picks. I thought Justin Allgaier, he was going to walk away with this. Unfortunately, like you said, had a little bit of a skirmish. He finishes outside of that top 4, championship 4. It didn't do him any favors. So as we go forward, some of the people I was impressed with, Ryan Preece, full-time Cup Series next year in the 47. He finished 5th. He had a great race. Another person that, again, 2 people I have to mention real quick who had fantastic races. Another guy who I say give a full-time ride to, John Hunter Nemechek, finishing 9th, and Spencer Gallagher, he of the I'm going to retire at 24 years old, finished in 10th place. I'm sorry. Spencer, come on, man. What are you doing? Get in the seat, grab the wheel, and drive that car, man. Come on, don't retire. People were cheering for you all year. Get back what you lost. You did the right thing. You went through the road to recovery. You came back. You ran some races. You had some good luck. You had some bad luck. There's no reason for Spencer Gallagher to retire.
I wouldn't say so either.
So you watched the whole race, as I did. I want to hear what impressed you the most. Obviously, Christopher Bell, not the best day ever, but he battles. He comes forward. He leads 94 laps. He has a fantastic day. But other than Bell, who impressed you the most?
I'd probably say my other guy that impressed me the most would have to be Daniel Hemrick. I mean, he finished second after rebounding last week, but I think if you look at it going into Homestead on Saturday, I really think Bell's biggest threat to win the championship would have to be that 21 team because, let's face it, I mean, Hemrick has been running really strong all season, and if you look at his results, let's see, he has 15 top 5s and 22 top 10s. An average finish of 9-1. So if you look at it, this team's been running really strong all year. His only worst finish right now in the playoffs, if I can go back, let's see. His only worst finish in the playoffs would have to be, I would say, 10th twice. But if you look at it, it's all been top 5s. 2 second-place finishes the last couple of races. A third to start it off. But let's face it, I mean, this team is there. but they just have to start. They got to start running up front, and they have to lead laps. And let's face it, it's championship weekend coming up at Homestead. This team has to be up front, and they have to lead every lap.
I don't know about leading every lap, but let's be honest. He's the guy right now that is your dark horse. So as we go to the finishing results of the Wheel Entrusted to Perform 200, obviously Christopher Bell comes home in first, Daniel Hemrick second, Matt Tifft in third, Austin Cindric fourth, Ryan Preece fifth, Tyler Reddick sixth, Brandon Jones seventh, Cole Custer comes in eighth, followed by John Hunter Nemechek in ninth, and Spencer Gallagher rounds out your top 10. Other notables, Elliott Sadler in 11th, Ryan Truex in 13th, Ross Chastain 15th. Going down the list a little ways, we see Justin Allgaier in 24th. We see Spencer Boyd in 28th. Going even further down the list, we see Morgan Shepherd in 39th. And thank you, Jeff Green, for coming back and doing what you're known to do, finishing 40th, dead last. Thank you, Jeff Green. Corey, it's now time for you to give your happy and your sad for the Xfinity race this past weekend.
All right, so my happy would definitely have to go to, I would say Daniel Hemrick because finished second, and this team's been pretty good all year, and hopefully they can contend with Christopher Bell for the title on Saturday. My sad would definitely have to go to Justin Allgaier. I mean, won the first two stages in this race. Looked as if he had the race won if he hadn't had that skirmish with John Hunter Nemechek, which took him out of contention. So I'd have to say, next year he's going to be another one that, you're going to have to watch out for competing for the championship.
Well, I'm going to go a different route. Christopher Bell needed to win to get in. He was in 8th last week when we talked about going into Phoenix. We both said Bell really needs to show up and win to get in. So Bell's going to get my happy for the week. I would love to go with Justin Allgaier. I did pick him. We'll go to the picks in just a moment. But my sad is going to go to Elliott Sadler. What a high point it would have been for Sadler to make the championship for, be in that final round, going forward in what he says is his last season of full-time racing competition. Would have been nice to see Elliott Sadler up there. It's hard to say my sad is an 11th place finish, but because of the situation involved and him not making the championship for, Elliott Sadler is going to be my sad for the week. So now, your points have been set, eliminated from the playoffs have been Elliott Sadler, Matt Tifft, Justin Allgaier, and Austin Cindric. Your championship 4 are Cole Custer, 4,000 points with 1 win, top of the points. Christopher Bell second, same amount of points, all reset, but he has 7 wins. Tyler Reddick sits in third with 1 win, and Daniel Hemrick sits in fourth, but he of no wins. Now, we talked a little about it last week. We have a different championship 4 than we saw last week. In your mind's eye, right now, who is your champion come Saturday night?
I'd have to say it's definitely Christopher Bell. I mean, I just look at this list of all these drivers that made it into the championship 4. I mean, if you look at it, I think Bell's only biggest threats are going to be Cole Custer and Daniel Hemrick. Now, the reason why I say Custer, not only he won Homestead last year, but he ended up dominating the race at Homestead. And he pretty much led by like a half a mile, if I remember, about a year ago. But if you go back to last year, had Custer not been eliminated in the playoffs last year, he would have been your champion. But I just look at it. I mean, if anybody's going to stop Christopher Bell, it's gonna be either Cole Custer or Daniel Hemrick. But I just don't see anybody, taking over the championship behind Christopher Bell. I mean, that's just the team that everybody's looking out for right now. And for a guy that's had 7 wins this year, I mean, I'd like to see them go out on top. And I know next year Bell's going to be running for the championship in the Xfinity Series. So, and Tyler Reddick, I mean, of course, he made it in on points. It's lucky, but let's be honest. If those 3 guys have a problem and Reddick comes out as a champion, I would be really surprised.
Well, you have to remember, Reddick did have a victory.
Yeah.
I believe you were thinking of Hemrick, who did not have a victory. as I adjust my headphones. I apologize for any noise that I may have created. Um, I'm going to agree with you on Christopher Bell, but if anybody's going to tip this apple cart, it's going to be Daniel Hemrick. He moving up to the Cup Series next year in that number 8 car. And I think Hemrick has more to prove than anybody else. Custer, Bell, and Reddick, all, I'm not saying destined, but they have a full season ahead of them next year on the Xfinity Series, whereas Hemrick is going to be a full-time Cup guy coming down making appearances on the Xfinity Series. So while it is, in my opinion, Christopher Bell's championship to lose, even though he had some bad luck and won to get in, and he did exactly what we expected. He won 7 races this year, guys. Think about that. We're going to talk about winning 7 or 8 races going forward when we talk about the Cup Series in a minute. It really is Christopher Bell's championship to lose, but if anybody's going to tip that apple cart, it is Daniel Hemrick. This paper is going to the side. We will talk about this on the pre-race show Sunday. Live flag-to-flag coverage from the Ford EcoBoost 400. Hopefully you guys watch it and listen.
Yeah.
If you tune into us and you're watching the race and you don't want to hear the boring commentary, listen to what we're talking about. There's about a 20-second delay from what we say to what you see on YouTube. Just use your little rewind gimmick if you have, if your cable system allows you to rewind. Mm-hmm. And Corey and I say, okay, they're approaching the start-finish line. Here comes the beginning of the race, but you're already 20 seconds into the race. Just rewind to where we are, and we'll walk you through the entire race. It's going to be fun.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Miss Chelsea's going to be in the house from what I hear. And Miss Sherry, if I'm saying her name right, we're going to sign your flag. Here it is. Hope you're watching. Me on one side, Corey on the other, and this will be in your possession before you know it. But now, here comes the picks for the week. Corey took Christopher Bell as his lock. He finished first. He took Tyler Reddick as his sleeper. He finished 6th. That's a finish of 7. And you divide that by 2. Corey, your finish this week was a 3.5. On the other side, I took Justin Allgaier as my lock. He finished 24th. I took Daniel Hemrick as my sleeper. He finished 2nd. A finish of 26. You divide that by 2. My finish was a 13. So your champion for the week is Corey Huffnagel.
All right.
All right. You're real excited about that. I love your enthusiasm. Anyway, so now we move on. The Cup Series, the Can-Am 500. Storylines aplenty in this race. To start with Kevin Harvick taking the pole. At the end of stage 1, he's in position to win it. Blows a tire. Battles back the entire race. You have stories of Kurt Busch, who did really well throughout the race, and then late race problems takes him out. Lots of different stories. Martin Truex didn't have the best of days. Joey Logano didn't have the best of days. But when all the smoke settled, it was the 18 of Kyle Busch in victory lane, and in those late laps, he was dominant. Take me through what you saw in this race.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of storylines went into this race on Sunday, and not only Kyle Busch ended up winning to advance, and going in the beginning of the race, yeah, it looked as if it was going to be Kevin Harvick winning the first stage. He ends up getting a flat tire, which allows Chase Elliott to win stage 1. Now, second stage, and of course, there was a lot of storylines that went into this one. Kurt Busch, unfortunately, he gets penalized for passing the pace car, which is obviously a no-no. But then there was also guys that got caught up in a wreck early, like, Joey Logano got caught up in a wreck early, and then Clint Boyer, guys that had to make it in, they ended up getting into a wreck. But I'd have to say the one thing that took me away was the late race caution that Denny Hamlin took out Kurt Busch and Chase Elliott. Those were 2 guys that, and honestly, I'd have to say, I think Chase Elliott, I would say wasn't the winning car, but he may as if, probably been like a second place car, maybe first, like if you would have contended with the leaders and everything and so forth. Then you had also guys, that had to win and make it in. And one other guy that I'm kind of thinking of is Eric Almirola, which of course he came up short as well. And of course, Kyle Busch, ended up winning the race. But as far as I know, the big 3 made it in, and Joey Logano is the 4th guy that's going to compete with the big 3. So it's going to be exciting, and I can't wait. And one thing I have to take away from ISM Raceway this weekend. Now, I know that they did a lot of track renovations throughout the last couple months, ever since they last raced back in the spring. And even though the start finish line was moved at near the center of the dog, keep this in mind. I thought the racing was great. I thought the three wide racing, I thought drivers cutting down on that dog leg, I thought was pretty good. But the one thing that I didn't really like the most was the start finish line being at the dog leg. Now, I'd have to say, and of course, the reason why they had to move that because, the sun was in the grandstands and, you'd be baked for like hours and everything. And, the reason why they put grandstands on that side of the racetrack was, that would block off the sun. Okay, I get that. But if you were to put the start finish line at the center of the dog leg, I would have been all right with that. But and then you also had the restart. And the one thing that I was kind of, looking at, but I didn't really seem to get, but then I'm kind of questioning and scratching my head, was of course the pace car ducked on the pit road. So now these guys are going down, which was originally the front stretch and now the back stretch. So they would go down until they would get into like turn 3 and 4, and then that's when they're going. And when I say, they did like kind of a restart at ISM Raceway, like what they did this past weekend, it might as well have been maybe like an IndyCar start or something. Because when I used to watch like the IndyCar races, like, the pace car would duck going into like turn 2 on the backstretch, and then you'd have the guys like double file on the backstretch. And then once they get into turn 3, that's when they gas it up, and then the green flag will be waving right when they come out of turn 4. So, I mean, don't keep this in mind. I thought Phoenix was great, but the start finish line, that was the one thing that kind of scratched my head and I didn't really get like why, they could have just moved the start finish line at the center of the dog leg. It would have made perfect sense and so forth.
I can certainly understand that, but I thought it made for some exciting racing. And
Yeah.
when the green flag is out, it didn't change the way people raced Phoenix ISM Raceway. It was still the same Phoenix racing that I've seen for years and years and years. So to me, not the biggest deal. For others, maybe a problem. But looking at this race, I had no issues with it. I really didn't have anything to complain about other than certain of the low finishing guys that found themselves on the outside looking in to the playoffs, and possibly Joey Logano finishing 37 because of the wreck. He already won, he's already in, but I'm sure Joey would have enjoyed having a better finish at ISM going forward. Momentum, momentum, momentum going to Miami.
Yeah.
So, excuse me as I cough. Let's go over the finish of the Can-Am 500. It was Kyle Busch coming away with the checkered flag. Mark Gazarju, who was our gracious host, his favorite driver, Brad Keselowski, finished second. Kyle Larson finished third. Nice way to almost finish off the season for Kyle Larson. Bad luck plagued this kid all year. He's going to be a player next year. Watch out for Kyle Larson. He finished third. Eric Almirola, a phenomenal fourth place finish. Again, outside looking in. Kevin Harvick, fifth. Jamie McMurray, sixth. Matt Kenseth, seventh. Austin Dillon, eighth. William Byron, ninth. And wow, last week we talked about him. Here he is in the top 10 again. Bubba Wallace coming home in 10th place. Other notables, Denny Hamlin, 13th. Martin Truex Jr., 14th. Jimmy Johnson, 15th. We go down and find our friend Guido, Matt DiBenedetto, 21st. Chase Elliott, 23rd. We have Alex Bowman, 30th. Kurt Busch, 32nd. Ryan Blaney, 34th. Clint Boyer, 35th. Joey Logano, 37th. And Timmy Hill rounds it out, dead last, 39th. Give me a happy and give me a sad.
All right, so my happy would definitely have to go to Kevin Harvick because, let's face it, he had that 40-point penalty last week, and I have to be honest, he was lucky to make it into the championship 4 on points. I'd have to say pretty much an up and down day for that 14, but I'm glad they rebounded, and now they're going to be able to compete for the title on Sunday. My sad, as much as I say this, so my sad would definitely have to go to Kurt Busch. I mean, got caught up in that late race accident, took him out of contention, could have had a shot to win, everything else and so forth.
I've got the same happy and the same sad for the same reasons. Again, not being a Kevin Harvick homer, but watched that first stage, and Kevin Harvick was the class of the field. That tire gets cut, and my opinion was, oh, okay, no big deal. He'll bounce back. A lot of factors and a lot of things got in his way to get him back into that top 10. And in the late stages of the race, not saying stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, I'm saying in the late stages, late laps of the race, Kevin Harvick, they were reporting, had one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. The problem was the fastest car on the racetrack was leading the race, the 18 of Kyle Busch. So it was great to see Kevin battle his way back from adversity. It shows that this guy is for real. Anybody who just says, oh, Chris, you stick up for the 14 no matter what, watch the show. No, I don't. I
Yeah.
call him out when he's a jerk, and I'll do so until the day I die. I do so with the Yankees, the Bruins, the Falcons, whatever. And we'll talk about the Celtics in a minute. But having said that, he was my happy, and Kurt Busch was my sad for the same reason. If Kevin Harvick wasn't going to make it, I was pulling for Kurt Busch. He really has shown this season that he deserves to be mentioned in the upper crust. Yes, we had the big three this year of Truex, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick, but the name that has always been creeping up right behind them has been Kurt Busch the entire season. He's going to show a lot more next season. Wherever Kurt Busch wins, he's going to be a factor. Let's hope that it's not a team where it's underfunded. Let's get Kurt Busch a ride somewhere. If he doesn't re-sign with Stewart-Haas Racing, hopefully Kurt will find his way into a team that can give him the equipment he needs to win a race every single week.
Well, as rumored has it, they did have Kurt going to Ganassi next year. So, I mean, let's hope that silly season prediction's right.
Let's find out, and that would be a great place for him. I can see him and Larson working together, doing fantastic things. Let's look at the points real quick. Once again, points are reset. Everybody is at 5,000 points. The highest finisher is going to come home your champion. Joey Logano sits at the top, 2 wins. Kyle Busch second. Think about this. Kyle Busch is in second, but he has 8 wins. But that's the points in the playoffs, kids. This is reset based on the playoffs and the points and yada yada, sis boom ba going forward. Martin Truex is third. He of 4 wins. And Kevin Harvick, your last championship driver, sits in fourth with 8 wins. We've said it every round of the playoffs. Kevin Harvick is going to be your champion. Do you stand behind that statement?
I mean, I'm probably gonna say I'm still gonna say yes on this one, but I think if you look at it, Kyle Busch, after winning the race on Sunday, I think he's gonna be a one to watch for, and then of course, Truex I think is also gonna make some noise too, and Joey Logano is also gonna make some noise. So I think this is gonna be the most exciting championship for the watch. I would say better than last year, and all the other years we've had it.
I don't disagree. This has been the most exciting season for me in many, many years, going back to 89 with the Rusty Wallace Championship season, going back to 93 where Rusty Wallace, again, I'm going homer on this one, wins 10 races and still finishes second to Dale Earnhardt, who, consistency at that time, wins the championship. Going back to the championship between Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards, where they finish in a flat foot tie, but Tony Stewart wins the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
All fantastic seasons, all exciting. But you know what? Right now, I am looking forward to Sunday more than I am anything else. The Falcons could go to the Super Bowl this year. I wouldn't look forward to it as much as I'm looking forward to this. The Yankees can go to the World Series next year. Still not going to look forward to it as much as I am looking forward to this Sunday, only because you have 4 drivers. Between them, you have 22 out of 36 races were won by these 4 gentlemen.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute. Just wrap that around. 22 of 35 races already won have been won by these 4 gentlemen. These are truly, and I would throw Brad Keselowski into the mix. These are truly the best 4 drivers on the circuit, and I would throw Brad Keselowski's name into this mix. He of 3 wins that this sport has to offer. We are looking at the best 4 drivers in 2018, minus Brad Keselowski. I'm still picking Harvick as my champion, but I got this really strange feeling. And guys, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but if anybody's going to tip this apple cart, and I'm going to put a little hash mark next to his name, and we'll talk about it on the pre-race show Sunday when we go flag-to-flag coverage of the Ford EcoBoost 400. Joey Logano is going to tip that apple cart, if anybody.
Mm,
But I still think it's Harvick's championship to lose.
I agree.
Did I lose you? Are you still there?
No, I'm
Okay.
here.
All right. Well, now we go to the picks, and then we're gonna do like a quick style Miami preview, because we're gonna preview the Cup race in long form when we do the flag to flag coverage. We're gonna do like a real quick hit on the picks, but the other two series we're gonna do in long form. Corey doesn't know this until right now. Of course, Corey doesn't know a lot of this stuff until I hit him with it, and that's why he's the best man in the business. So Corey picked Kyle Busch as his lock. He finished first. He took Jimmy Johnson as his sleeper. He finished 15th. He took Chase Elliott as his hopeful. He finished 23rd. That is a total of 39. And when you divide that by 3, Corey, your finish this week was 13.
Yep.
I took Kevin Harvick as my lock. He finished 5th. I took Chase Elliott as my sleeper. He finished 23rd. I took Eric Almirola as my sleeper. He finished 4th. That's a finish of 32. My finish was 10.66, which gives me the championship for the week. But that doesn't matter because it's championship weekend. And right now, Corey is going to tell us where you, tomorrow night, or if you're listening to us on audio only tonight, Friday, you can see the Truck Series run for the heavyweight championship of the world. Corey, hit the people with that information.
All right, so for tomorrow night, we have the Camping World Truck Series Championship. The Ford EcoBoost 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Yay!
So 8 o'clock Eastern Time on FS1, and then, of course, on the Sirius XM satellite radio. It is Channel 90 on the NASCAR network, which will pretty much be broadcasted by Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR.
That's right. So just looking down on the entry list, again, we do mention the 4 drivers that are going to be competing in the championship tomorrow, which are going to be Brett Moffitt, Noah Gragson, Johnny Sauter, and Justin Haley. So let's see. Could probably say some good notables in here will probably be, let's see, the 51 of Harrison Burton, the 97 of Jesse Little, and then, of course, Stuart Friesen in the 52, which, of course, he's not in the playoffs anymore. John Hunter Nemechek in the 8, Todd Gillen in the 4, and then Jordan Anderson in the 3, and then, of course, Sheldon Creed in the 2 trucks. So, last race of the season, so we could either have a playoff driver win tomorrow in the championship, or we could have a non-playoff driver win tomorrow.
Absolutely right. And I would love to hear who your lock and who your sleeper is going forward.
Okay, so my lock on this one, let's see. Okay, so my lock, I'm going to go with a non-playoff driver on this one. So my lock, I'm going to have to go with Stuart Friesen. I mean, I just look at this team this year, and, they've had a couple second-place finishes. They have had some really good runs this year. They were in the playoffs until they got bumped out of the first round. But this could possibly be maybe like a Chase Briscoe type of thing, because remember last year when Chase Briscoe was running for Brad Keselowski Racing, he was finishing second a couple times until he won a race, which was the season finale at Homestead. I really think this could probably be the same thing for Stuart Friesen, and I wouldn't be surprised if that 52 truck ends up at Victory Lane. My sleeper for this one, I'm going to have to go with, I'm going to say Myatt Snyder. I really want to see what this kid can do in that 13 truck, and hopefully he can get himself a win before the season's out and see what he can do next year.
Absolutely. Again, going with my playoff only, I know, again, these picks don't mean anything, especially in the playoffs, because next year I'm not going to do only playoffs. So right now I'm hedging my bet. I'm hoping, and praying that my lock is the one that tips over the apple cart. Noah Gragson is my lock for this race. I'm hoping that Gragson is the highest finisher, wins the race, wins the championship. This would be great for this young man. But my sleeper is going to be a guy that really deserves this championship, is a guy that really has worked his butt off, 6 wins overall. Johnny Sauter is my sleeper. Yes, I said earlier it's Moffitt's championship to lose, but my picks don't necessarily reflect what I think is going to happen. This is what I hope is going to happen. So you have the incumbent, Johnny Sauter, as my sleeper. You have the young upstart, Noah Gragson. It would be great to see Noah Gragson hold up that hardware above his head on Friday night.
I agree.
So as we go forward, we have an Xfinity race on Saturday, and Senor on the Jumbotron on his birthday from the Boston Celtics game. Who'd they play? The Bulls, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, fantastic. By the way, next time you're on the Jumbotron, put your phones down. That picture would have been so awesome if I could see you or Chelsea in one picture without gimmick phones in front of you.
Right. Yeah, I was in the moment last night. That's what happened.
Well, happy birthday. I hope your celebration was everything you wanted it to be, even though it pushed off this fantastic show by one day.
That's okay. But
I
thank you.
understand. So now we go to the Xfinity race, tell them where they can see it, hear it, and otherwise imbibe it.
All right, so Saturday we have the Ford EcoBoost 300, 3:30 Eastern Time on NBCSN. Stream it live on the NBC Sports app, and then of course Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90, which will be broadcasted by the Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR.
Yeah. For the second straight day during the weekend.
It's always great when they go all the way live, 3 days in a row.
I love it. So let's see. Looking at the entry list, let's see. You got the 4 drivers competing, which will be Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, and Daniel Hemrick. Let's see. Scrolling down on the notables, I'm seeing Chase Briscoe on the list. I'm seeing Kaz Grala being in the 61 car for the first time in a couple months. John Hunter Nemechek in the 42. Let's see. You also have, of course, Spencer Gallagher in the 23. And let's see, Brian Priest in the 18. Ryan Reed in the 16. Ryan Truex in the 11. Shane Lee in the 3. And then, of course, hometown favorite, Ross Chastain in the 4.
All right. So I'll start this one off. It's hard to bet against someone with 7 wins. He did great last year to win the Truck Series on this very speedway. My lock is going to be Christopher Bell. There really isn't another choice until you figure that there's a guy leading the points right now. He is in the number 1 seed that could tip over that apple cart. We've talked about Daniel Hemrick earlier. Again, these picks don't reflect what I think will happen. It's what I hope will happen. I think Cole Custer, among any other people, I'm picking him as my sleeper, really deserves this championship. He deserves to be where he's at. He deserves to be in this top 4. And that's my sleeper pick for this Saturday. Corey, on to you.
So my lock for this one, I'm going to do a little reversal from last year. My lock, I'm going to the same car dominant last year. He could be pretty much a champion on Saturday, and I really think Custer. I think he's got probably a good maybe 50% shot winning this championship. I mean, they won the race at Texas. They've been fast all year, and I really think this could be a kid that can compete with Christopher Bell and Daniel Hemrick for the championship moving forward.
I have to stop you because I lost audio for about 5 seconds. You're taking Cole Custer as your lock?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right, so my sleeper, as much as I want to pick him, my sleeper, I'm going to go with Daniel Hemrick. This is just a guy that's been running really strong all year. It's been really good on the mile and a halfs. He's finished second a couple times, and I really think this is going to be that. This is going to be the kid where he could probably pull off the surprise on Saturday.
Absolutely. And fantastic picks all the way around. When we do the pre-race on Sunday for the Ford EcoBoost 400 live flag-to-flag coverage, excuse me, as I die in front of all of you. If I do die, Corey, you get all my NASCAR gear. We're going to break down these picks, but we're also going to do it next Wednesday live, and we may have a special guest come in from Stafford Motor Speedway here in Connecticut to join us as a three-headed monster to talk about championship weekend. Not confirmed yet. I'm still working on it. But we'll break down our picks from these races because as we go forward, the Cup Series is on Sunday, and you'll hear us talk about it. And when the green flag drops and when the checker flag drops at the end of the race, you'll know how this turns out. But again, we have an obligation to you to do Championship Wednesday, which will be our Championship Wednesday after we do Championship Sunday. So, Corey, if you would, please, sir, tell them where they can find it.
All right, so Sunday, the Ford EcoBoost 400, which is at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC. Stream it live on the NBC Sports app. And then, of course, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90, which, of course, the Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR.
Well, looks like they're doing a lot this weekend.
It's the greatest thing ever in the history of radio, MRN.
I do agree. So let's see. Just looking at the entry list, you got the 4 guys that are competing for the championship, which are Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr. So I have to say this is going to be the most watched race this weekend. Not only that, I'd have to say the most exciting race to watch this weekend.
Without question. And those 4 guys, if they don't finish all 4 in the top 5 or even in the top 4, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I'd be floored if these guys aren't 1, 2, 3, 4 going out the door to close out the 2018 season.
Oh, yeah.
But because we make picks, because we do this for you guys each and every week, Corey, I want you to break down your lock, your sleeper, and because it's the Cup race, the hopeful.
Okay, so my lock on this one, as much as I really wanted to pick him, my lock, I'm going to have to go with Martin Truex Jr. because I have to be honest on this. I really want to see them win the championship. They can close Furniture Row Racing out on top and, give Barney Visser his last championship before he goes out, does other stuff in his career, whatever it is and so forth. And also, we all know that Truex is going to Gibbs next year, and he's also going to another top ride. So I think giving him back-to-back championships before he moves to Joe Gibbs the next year is going to bring him a lot of great momentum moving forward. My sleeper is going to be a non-playoff guy, but I'm going to go with Jimmy Johnson because this is the last race between him and Chad Canals before those guys are splitting next year. And, of course, Chad's going to be crew chief for the 24, and then Jeff Meteran's coming in for the 48. And we've seen this time and over again. We've seen a guy that's been struggling all year that'll win the race at Homestead, and then focus on next year, whatever it is, and so on. But again, if Jimmy Johnson doesn't win on Sunday, I'm going to be really surprised. And not to mention, I'm not surprised the fact that this has been Johnson's worst season in his entire career, as far as I can't even remember. Now, my hopeful, as much as I want to pick him, but this one is going to be a non-playoff guy. And if I can tip a name right out of the cap right now, my hopeful, I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney.
Blaney, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on Sunday, you're going to meet a young lady named Sarah who loves Ryan Blaney. And I look forward to you telling her, hey, he's one of my picks. And she's going to go, oh, my God, Corey, you're so nice. You're the best. So look forward to you meeting Sarah. Again, I'm going with playoff only. And my lock, it's no surprise, It's Kevin Harvick. Has success at this track. Look. This is where I'm going to go homer. Let's throw everything else out the window. I want my driver to win. So I'm going to pick him as my lock. My sleeper, to nobody's surprise, is going to be Martin Truex Jr. If my guy can't win, I want my daughter's favorite driver to win. My girlfriend's favorite driver is not in it, which is Kyle Larson. My stepdaughter's driver is not in it, which is Denny Hamlin. I would love to pick either of those two, but what's left is what's left. And I want Martin Truex Jr. If it's not Harvick, I want it to be Truex. Here it comes, guys. Mark it down. I haven't said a lot of good things about this guy all season. Not going to say a lot of good things about this guy next season. I may never say anything good about this guy in any season. And I know right now you guys are saying, who's it going to be? Kyle Busch? Joey Logano? Who's it going to be? Flip that coin. Here it comes. Heads or tails. Who's going to win? My hopeful is going to be Joey Logano. I really do think that he, other than this past weekend, has had great momentum through the playoffs. He's been probably the most consistent driver in the playoffs of the big four, if you will. Big five, if you count Brad Keselowski. So that's why I'm picking Logano as my hopeful going forward. Now is the time where I say to Corey, if you have anything to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people, please tell them now.
Okay, so keep following the C&J Speedway review on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and then that auto way you'll get notifications on when we go live, before we go live, and then we also upload our videos a day or maybe a couple hours after we air our first one or so forth. Let's see, Facebook, search us up, C&J Speedway Review, and then Twitter. We are at we are at CJ_Speedway. Instagram, we are at CJ Speedway. And let's see, we are getting ready for our little live flag to flag coverage on Sunday at the great Mark Azarju's house. So we're really looking forward to that. And so you're going to hear a lot of great commentary from us, and it's going to be very entertaining, and it's going to be exciting. And who knows? If down to a last lap, we're all going to be really surprised. But it's going to be fun, and I can't wait.
Absolutely, and we're going to have special guests come in. Hopefully, our good friend Skip Perry, he of the Jimmy Johnson camp, will be there. Because, of course, as we look forward, as we're broadcasting to the NASCAR race, just to our left will be the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Dallas Cowboys, and Skip is a Dallas Cowboys fan. So,
oh boy,
there'll be a little banter going back and forth. And when I say a little banter, it'll be a lot of banter. Miss Chelsea Tasaka Nika Schneebitzfernum.com. Can't say her name. I'm not going to try because my tongue will fall out. Miss Chelsea will be there. Hopefully, the Eternal Flame and the Goddess of Love, Angela, will be there. Loki is hoping to make an appearance so he can sit in and tell you guys about his NASCAR life. A lot of great things are going to go on this Sunday. We're going to have so much fun. Corey and I in the same room. He's going to work with this rig that I work with every single week on the Loki and Jabroni show. We've got gimmicks to give away. Obviously, this is going to Miss Chelsea because she asked for it. It's an official Loki and Jabroni bumper sticker. You can get those at cafepress.com/Loki and Jabroni. And Miss Sherry, if I'm remembering this correctly.
Hi, Sherry.
Sherry, you're getting this flag. A little garden flag. Got the Bush on one side, you got the Jimmy Johns on the other. One side will be signed by me, one side will be signed by Corey. You're going to have that for the rest of your life, and hopefully you remember it. And I am throwing in one other gimmick that I'm not going to tell you about, but when Corey delivers this, you're going to be floored. It's going to be fantastic. Hope you love it. Hope you enjoy it. This season has been incredible, and I'm sure there's going to be more to talk about on Sunday as we do the flag-to-flag coverage. And on Wednesday, hopefully I can get my special guest in so we can have a three-headed monster talking about all three championships that we are deciding this weekend. Corey, I tip my hat to you. You have been fantastic. much like Loki, who sits to my immediate right every single Tuesday. You sit to my immediate front in Peabody, Massachusetts. I have one request, if you could, before you come down on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to stop at my favorite. Here in the Northeast, we call it package store. If you're watching somewhere in the mid America, if you're watching somewhere on the West Coast, if you're watching in Canada, they call them liquor stores. I want you to stop at Bunghole Liquors right there in Peabody, Massachusetts. I used to have a T-shirt from there. It is now dead and gone because I wore it until it fell off my body. Bring me a business card from Bunghole Liquors. Bring me anything. Bring me a bag from Bunghole Liquors, and I will be your best friend for the rest of your life.
Okay.
I love that place. I every time I come back from New Hampshire, I try to take a side trip when I go to the races to Bunghole Liquors, which those of you out there, go to bungholeliquors.com. Look it up. It's not a joke. It's the real deal. One of the
It's
greatest
real.
places it is. And I thought it was a joke for years and years until about 8 years ago when I went for the first time and I bought a T-shirt, and of course it disintegrated on my body. But because I wore it everywhere. I loved it. It said I got it in the bunghole. And on the back, it had Bunghole Liquors, Peabody, Massachusetts, and the phone number. It was fantastic. I love that place.
Mm.
And there's one in Salem, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct?
I think just Peabody.
They closed the second location down?
Uh, uh, Hold on. Let me take a look. Sure, the only location that I know best is Peabody. Oh yeah. Oh wait, actually there is one in Salem. Never
I
mind.
thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two locations. If you're ever in Massachusetts, Peabody, Salem, go to Bunghole Liquors. Tell them the C&J Speedway Review sent you. Not that they're going to understand, but we will, and we'll know. But guys, thank you for an exciting season. We look forward to bringing you flag-to-flag coverage this Sunday for the Ford EcoBoost 400 NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Championship. We'll be talking a little about the other two championships, and we'll still be back with you next Wednesday to cover all of this right here on the C&J Speed Review. Corey, I thank you again for an exciting season. I know we only did like a third of the season last year, but this has been great. I've had so much fun, and I look forward to the winter, the silly season, where we do every other week, and we talk about the things that are in the world of NASCAR.
I'm excited too, and the only thing is, right after the racing season's over, I'm just gonna be like, all right, when's Daytona? Because I just can't wait.
Well, the countdown will be on, and I'm going to find a way to put a timer on the Facebook page. It says X amount of hours, days, minutes, whatever, till Daytona. There's a way to do it. I'm sure producer Eddie Focus will assist us in such an endeavor. He's shaking his head. No, I can see him on the little gimmick camera. Eddie, for the final race of the regular season, can you pop on for just 5 seconds and just tell us what this has been like for you to produce a show about NASCAR, which you really don't like, but tell us what you've thought this whole season.
I think the downloads have been fantastic. I think the
Thank you.
subscribers are fantastic. Just keep going.
Thank you.
And the best way to appreciate is to open those wallets and share some of that hard earned money that you're not blowing on the races.
Well, you know that I agree with that. If you're not buying gear of your favorite driver, certainly donate. Go to www.patreon.com/Loki
No, 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 no.
Jabroni. I know
Anchor.
that's not this show. Go ahead.
On Anchor, links are in the description below.
Absolutely. So please do that. It just helps us, and anything you can do to help us, it gives us the opportunity to give you more, more. What you're going to see this Sunday is going to be groundbreaking. I looked it up once again. Like the Loki and Jabroni was the first podcast to live stream while we're recording. C&J Speedway Review is the first ever NASCAR podcast that's going to do flag to flag coverage of championship weekend. You don't get firsts like this very often. It's fantastic. And I want to thank you, Eddie, while you're still here, for pushing not only the Loki and Jabroni show, but the C&J Speed Review to look beyond what we thought was possible. So I tip my hat. I want to give you a little hand, and hopefully Corey does the same. Couldn't have done it without you, and I appreciate it, and I tip my beer to you.
Thank you, Eddie.
They think I'm smart.
Well, you're not. I know you're not smart, but you are creative, and that's what I appreciate. And there was a road course in the playoffs, you dirty bastard. There's 3 road courses. Now you have no reason to talk about turn left, you dirty bastard.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's family.
All right. Anyway, Corey gets to do his gimmick now, which Eddie steals on Tuesday nights. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you Sunday. Flag-to-flag coverage of the Ford EcoBoost 400. My name is Chris. He's Corey. C&J Speedway Review. We are out.
Good night.